I've been quite harsh on Nvidia previously. While I appreciate their hardware products and software that allow creators to do amazing things, when it comes to cloud gaming, I've always seen them as completely out of touch. They have a product directly marketed at people like me called GeForce Now. When I first came across it, the marketing stated it was a way to play PC games on my phone without owning a PC. My exact scenario. But it was convoluted and no good if you didn't have an existing PC game library. That felt like purposeful mismarketing. Coupled with the lack of ongoing communication when signing up for a founder's subscription and not getting that subscription at any point, my initial impressions of GeForce Now were terrible. Fast forward nearly 3 years though, and a lot has changed, including their marketing. While I've dabbled and used a month of Priority or 3080 here and there for content and reviews, the experience has only ever been middle of the road for me at best. Not great, not terrible, just sort of there. But in February 2023, Nvidia are pushing GeForce Now hard, and have been for a number of months. With expanded ambassadorships, sponsorships of well-known content creators, and advert marketing campaigns pretty much everywhere I turn. So when two companies offered me a trial of GeForce Now as an option for me after Stadia shut down, I decided it was time to try it again and see if I was wrong about the service. So welcome everybody, my name is Doragon and this is my review of Nvidia's GeForce Now in February 2023. For the uninitiated, what is GeForce Now? As mentioned earlier, GeForce Now is a cloud gaming solution offered by Nvidia, the creator of some of the greatest PC graphics processing units on the planet. It offers remote access to a gaming PC rig via a custom user interface. This interface allows you to access synchronized PC games from Steam, Epic, and Ubisoft stores with compatibility figures of 1,500 games at the time of recording. Like PlayStation Plus, it offers 3 tiers of access with different benefits per tier. The first tier is called Free, and as the name suggests, is completely free of charge to use. However, this does come with some challenges. The first one is starting a game. On the free tier, this means being placed into a queue to access a game. Queues can range from a couple of minutes to over an hour in my experience, and you can see queue times increase if someone from one of the other tiers joins in. Play sessions are limited to 1 hour, and resolution is capped at 720p, the same as the Switch in handheld mode. The second tier is called Priority, and costs £8.99 per month. For that, you get priority access to a premium rig, exact specs aren't divulged, and up to 1080p visuals. Up to 60 frames per second, ray tracing is turned on, and you get a 6-hour play session. The final tier is called Ultimate. It costs £17.99 per month and offers access to a 3080 or 4080 rig, access to the fastest servers, 8-hour play sessions, up to 4K visuals, and as advertised at the time of writing, up to 120 frames per second. There are no inclusive games with any of the tiers. It merely allows you to access compatible games purchased and synchronized through other services. Even the free-to-play titles have to be added to your library on Steam, Epic or others before you can then add them to your GeForce Now library and play. So that's your crash course in case you didn't know what GeForce Now was before this. So what's it like to use? I've been using the priority tier as part of these trials, and generally, I can say it's quite a good experience. I don't own a laptop or PC, so 1080p visuals on my phone with the Backbone 1 controller attached is more than sufficient, and I don't particularly notice any major pixelation or resolution issues on the 12-inch screen of my tablet either. At least, not when the service recognises that I'm using gigabit broadband and it's actually really good, and is not 1 megabit broadband allowing only 144p. The frame rate is as good as my PlayStation 5 or PS4 Pro, and while outclassed by some native mobile titles, it's not many, and only one mobile game really has the fidelity of some of those AAA titles. Hello, Bright Memory. Starting a game, however, despite being on a supposed priority connection, has been slow every time. I've never seen a queue position displayed jumping into Splitgate, Shadow of the Tomb Raider, Destiny 2, Watch Dogs 2, or any other game. But I've had to wait an age every single time for the game to actually start, to then, more often than not, just load me into either Steam, Epic, or Ubisoft, and not the game itself. Navigating around any of these services when they do load in instead of the game, either via a connected controller, touchscreen, or mouse and keyboard, is incredibly laggy, janky, and difficult. Every single time. I've had some severe stuttering and frame drops in the middle of competitive FPS games, which has meant I've lost the gun battle. I've also experienced some major resolution changes, even dropping to what seemed like 480p on occasion mid-gaming session. Again, remembering I'm on gigabit broadband here, using Wi-Fi 6 for most of this testing. For most of the time though, the experience is as good as a PS4 Pro or Xbox One X hooked up to a 1080p TV. This means you get 1080p visuals up to 60 frames per second if the game supports it, and longer loading times. Coming from the PS5 as my primary gaming platform, the load times, in games that are also available on that PS5 console, are painful to experience, because they don't exist on the PlayStation 5 for the most part. But for many, the experience will have parity with what they are used to with their existing hardware, or be a massive step up depending what their core gaming experiences are right now. Being portable as well, with touch controls in many games, and vast Bluetooth controller support, though the Stadia controller does not appear to be recognised by many games on the service, is a massive boon. Being able to play Destiny 2 on the sofa while my partner plays Ghost of Tsushima on the TV sat on the same sofa is a rewarding and fun experience that we wouldn't otherwise be able to have sharing the same PlayStation 5. But this positive is more of a Destiny thing than a GeForce Now thing, as that game supports real-time cross-save, meaning I can load Destiny up on my phone via GFN having just finished on the PS5, and all of my data is there, ready to go. This doesn't work for Splitgate, any of the Tomb Raider games, any Ubisoft title, and so on. Things like Fortnite and Dauntless, this works, but it is a game-specific feature that cannot be attributed as a positive to GeForce Now. And then, we come to the user interface. This is the first interaction with GeForce Now every time you load it up. And it sucks. Bear in mind, there is no storefront in GeForce Now. Every purchase has to be made via a different website or platform. But there isn't an option to view all games. Instead, you are limited to the options displayed upon the home screen, such as Just Added or Shooters, Free-to-Play or Instant Access Demos. These lists are presented in a horizontal bar that doesn't include every single game within that category. You can click or tap on See More on some aspects, but this is only on certain versions of the application. On a mobile phone, for example, there is no option to see a more comprehensive list at all. It's just a horizontal list that PlayStation was lambasted for with the release of the PS5, that they adjusted most aspects of their UI to be vertical again via a firmware update. Add in the vast crossover in many of these categories, such as The Witcher 3 fronting RTX on role-playing and featured at the time of writing, there is no easy way of knowing what 1,500 games are compatible with the service from what provider at any time. To give an example of why this is an issue, one of the biggest positives of GeForce Now that has been parroted to me again and again is that all free-to-plays are available. One of my favourite free-to-play titles is Knockout City. It's a 3v3 dodgeball game from Valand Studios. But Knockout City isn't available via GeForce Now. I regularly play two free-to-play titles, Knockout City and Splitgate. With Knockout City not compatible with GeForce Now, this means GeForce Now is only 50% useful to my free-to-play experience, meaning it's also 50% useless. And this situation persists. Constantly. 1,500 games sounds like a lot, but Steam alone had over 70,000 available titles as of November 2022, meaning having 1,500 games offers just over 2% compatibility with Steam titles. This is worse when then adding Epic Games and Ubisoft into the mix. I have had people rave about the Epic Store games they get to play on the service via the service's free giveaways. But take Star Wars Battlefront 2 as an example. I claimed that on Epic a while ago. It is on GeForce Now, but the compatibility is for Steam or EA only. Hell is Others, Adios, and Eximius, apologies if I said that wrong, are the last three games that I claimed from Epic, none of which are even on GeForce Now, let alone have any store compatibility. Golf It and Halo Infinite aren't available. Unsurprising with the latter, I suppose, being an Xbox Studios game, but Golf It is a huge party golf game played across Twitch and YouTube by all sorts of creators and communities. It isn't the lack of compatibility that is annoying or problematic for me. Obviously, licensing is a thing that has to be undertaken to avoid legal ramifications, something Boosteroid may want to take heed of at some point. It's that the user experience of trying to find out what is and isn't compatible with GeForce Now is a challenge that shouldn't exist, created by an incredibly poor user interface. And it could be solved really quickly and really easily by one additional expandable section on that home screen that simply has every compatible game within it in alphabetical order. But we're 3 years down the line since GeForce Now's inception here, and that poor design, it hasn't been updated once. For me, the grief that the UI causes me, because it is so integral to every individual experience with the service, is so impactful that much of the rest of my time with GeForce Now is already tarnished before I even start a game. The home screen user interface needs a drastic overhaul, and 3 years down the line, there are zero excuses as to why it is still so bad. Overall then, I would say that using GeForce Now is a middle-of-the-road experience. It isn't superb, and it isn't terrible. There are aspects of the service that hit both extremes, but most of the time, it just works, as well as your internet connection allows, and as well as a previous generation console. For £8.99 per month though, is a middle-of-the-road performance and convoluted, purposely obtuse user experience worth that much money to you? With all that said, what's the value proposition of the service? The free tier's value is going to depend on the individual. There are also caveats and provisos in free options, be that limits on playtime, adverts, microtransactions, pay-to-win mechanics, and so on. The value of GeForce Now's free tier, therefore, will depend on what caveats you can personally put up with. For me, someone who is used to swift gaming experiences, the caveats are too great. The queuing to get into a game just doesn't fit the adult life that I lead. Even if it did, the 1 hour play session is just that bit too short to feel fulfilled by the end of your current session, which means you then have to queue up again. Look, I know we Brits are known for our queuing ability, but even we have limits, Nvidia. For you, this may not be a factor though. The queue might suit you, allowing you to do other things in the meantime, and an hour's play session might be all you can cope with. So of course, the free tier is going to be a fully subjective thing, and being free, you may as well try it for yourself and see. The priority tier, I'm underwhelmed with, and that therefore says to me, it's not good value. There is nothing wrong with it per se, but at roughly the same price as Microsoft's Game Pass Ultimate Streaming, Sony's PlayStation Plus Premium, and Amazon's Luna, it falls short of the competition in many categories, not least of all, games. Even Amazon's smaller operation offers over 150 titles at no additional cost to the base subscription fee. GeForce Now offers 23 free-to-play games, many of which are available across other platforms, including the phone in your pocket. At 1080p visuals and an annual cost of £108, you could instead purchase an 8th generation Xbox or PlayStation for the same price and have access to a wider free-to-play gaming library with no ongoing subscription fee. Alternatively, a sub to either of those platform services, as a PC owner, will grant you over 400 and 800 games respectively, including exclusive titles. When compared to every competitive option, priority just doesn't stack up, and any other option will give you more value for money. So what about Ultimate? As I'm writing this line, the upgrade to the 4080 build is going live across the UK, and I haven't tried it. It offers some compelling options above priority, such as true 4K visuals, if your screen allows it, 240 frames per second, if your screen allows it, the power of the 4080 for on-screen assets, textures, particle effects, and so on. It offers DLSS 3 to boost the frame rate and prevent screen tears, In 10 games, it offers reflex mode, which is meant to lower your time to react, which could be very useful in FPS or Twitch reaction titles. All are a compelling technological upgrade. But at £17.99 per month, a full £7 per month more than Game Pass Ultimate, you still have the same gaming issue as the priority tier. 23 free-to-play games at superb resolution for £17.99 a month, compared to 400 games of varying size, design, genre and generation for £10.99 a month. The value starts to diminish quickly. So to answer the question from my title, was I wrong about GeForce Now? In some aspects, yes. I have been overly critical of the service in the past based solely upon my personal experience. Though, as a review is a critique of an individual's experience, it doesn't invalidate those previous thoughts that I had. For the most part though, no, I was not. I've always stated that GeForce's in-game performance is super solid, and if you have a large and compatible library already, but cannot afford to upgrade your existing hardware, then GeForce Now makes a lot of sense. It still has some huge caveats and challenges, not least of all those legal licenses, but it can offer an upgraded experience keeping individuals' e-waste lower. Even now in 2023 though, Nvidia are positioning GeForce Now as a Game Pass and PS Plus competitor. They are saying this is the jumping on point for cloud gaming, and gaming in general, especially through their ambassadors and sponsorship. The reality of the matter though is, it isn't. £8.99 per month is a high cost for just 23 games that are all available on other platforms anyway. For a new starter, they have to faff with building a library to be able to play anything of worth on GeForce Now and make that ongoing subscription viable and worthwhile. Not only is this process unnecessarily laborious due to the terrible UI, but it also requires constant additional monetary investment, just like upgrading a PC, and puts the entire onus of if the service is worthwhile upon the consumer. Nvidia should be the ones offering value to GeForce Now, not the paying customer. And this practice truly gets my back up. At £108 annually for the priority, or £215 annually for Ultimate, with the setup of GeForce Now, a home console would be a far smarter investment for the overwhelming majority of users. It would still equal a similar outlay over the lifespan of the console. However, a PlayStation 5 is £500 and PS Plus Premium is £120 annually. GeForce Now Ultimate over a 7-year console lifespan is £1,505, with no games included. A PlayStation 5 with PS Plus for the same period is £1,340. For that, you get up to 8K visuals, 60 frames per second, the super immersive DualSense controller, 800 games on PS Plus Premium, which is growing, 3 to 4 additional games per month to keep via PS Plus Essential, every free-to-play game on the market, and nearly £200 additional to spend over those 7 years on any additional games at launch or in sales that you fancy. So no, I was not wrong about GeForce Now. It is still an underdesigned, underdeveloped and underutilized service for the overwhelming majority of gamers, and it's even worse for people looking to get into gaming. Do not get me wrong, I know in terms of the streaming performance, it is the market leader. But that is far from the most important aspect for many, many people. Just ask Google about Stadia. They had the best and most stable streaming experience, even outdoing Nvidia. They had a decent user interface, a non-convoluted purchase and subscription model. They were, essentially, a console as we know them in the cloud. But they still died. Before any other aspect, games matter. Microsoft's cloud gaming performs terribly. But to play Hi-Fi Rush, Forza Horizon 5 or Monster Hunter Rise on launch day at no additional cost, people will put up with it. GeForce Now, like Stadia before it, doesn't have the games. Not included anyway. It needs to upgrade over the next 12 months to remain feeling relevant. They need deeper integration with Steam, Epic and other storefronts to be able to purchase the games directly through the application. They need to redesign the UI to be much more user-friendly, and they need to speed up the acquisition of licenses, because constantly being outdated with compatible games will drive gamers away, especially when competitors have those titles day and date. GeForce Now is not the savior of cloud gaming as headlines and sponsorships would have you believe. It is an option at best right now, and for the sake of the consumer and industry as a whole, we need to demand that they update and change rapidly. While we're waiting for that to happen though, why not check out this video going over the state of all cloud gaming in 2023? Otherwise, thank you for your viewership, and until next time, have yourselves a fantastic day. And take care.